All right, fantastic. We are here this afternoon to talk about the New York Wine and Grape Foundation's export program. So welcome everybody. It's great to see all your faces. Again, today we're here to talk about the export program, specifically in the Hong Kong, South Korea, and Vietnamese markets. So we're really looking forward to that. Many of you, at least those of you on the line live with us, know a lot about the export program. It's a really important marketing program to the foundation, and it's literally helped put New York wines on the map for consumers, trade, and media all over the world. We're really excited about this upcoming year with some new markets and some new focus. And again, for a long, long time, since 1993, we've been able to run this program primarily due to the support of the United States Department of Agriculture's Foreign Ag Service. The attachés and all of the counselors in each market have been great partners with us over the past few years, and we really appreciate all of their support, and we are looking forward to working with them again this year. And today, I'm certainly pleased to introduce some of our other partners that are leading the targeted marketing efforts in Hong Kong, South Korea, and Vietnam. Many of you already know them by name, but happy to introduce a few of them here today virtually. Just a bit of background: for over 2 years now, although it seems like a very long time because I really can't imagine this program without them. We've been working with Bryant Christie International to help us coordinate our marketing efforts abroad. And BCI is a development firm that works with various groups like ours that seek to expand their international sales. So we're really excited to work with them. It's been a great partnership, and I just wanted Melissa Balding to wave and say hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone. You've probably gotten some emails from me. It's nice to see everyone here today.
And just by way of patting them on the back and saying thank you, I just want to let you know that they are absolutely integral to our program, to making it better. They help keep our global teams organized. They help implement marketing activities. They assist in monitoring our compliance and making sure our budgets are on point. And they've greatly improved the quality of the program, and we've loved working with them and learning from them. And many of you know, we were actually rewarded with a pretty significant increase to our budget for this program year. And we hope and we believe that that's due to the increased quality of the programming. So thanks to them for that. The export program this year and every year runs on a July 1 to June 30 calendar. So if you're waiting to learn more about our plans before you join or select your target markets, now is definitely the time. So if you want to listen in and learn more about the activities and what the market is like, as soon as this is over, you still have time to sign up, but we would need that sign up before we start inviting you to all of the activities that are coming our way in the next few months. And so with that, I'm happy to go ahead and get into it and introduce our speaker today. He is our partner from FLX International. Matthew McFetridge, as many of you know, is a native New Yorker. He's got lots of experience in the wine industry, but he started here in New York. He finished his bachelor's degree in New York and moved on to his first master's at the Harvard of China, Tsinghua University in Beijing. And there he kind of figured out what he was going to focus on and landed on international relations in the Asia Pacific. That led him to completing a second master's in London at the famed School of Oriental and African Studies attached to the University of London. And it was his time there studying China-Burma relations that helped him discover Asia's dynamic regional growth and potential for the Finger Lakes to be represented in that region. And Matthew, I don't know how you have time to do it all. It's great to see you as always, and we appreciate your hard work and your effort on behalf of New York Wines over the past, I think it's 4 years now. And we're looking forward, to this year should be really exciting and unique. So we're happy to hear more about it. It's good to see you. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I see a lot of familiar faces. So hopefully this will be a nice, comfortable overview of the things we went through last year and an exciting introduction to what we are planning for this year. As Vail said, I've been working with them for the last 4 years, but in the middle of that, for 2 long years, things were quite choppy. So with everything kind of opening and relaxing a bit coming out of this situation we found ourselves in, there's some opportunity to do some really interesting things in Hong Kong and South Korea and Vietnam. So I'm excited to to share with you, and also encourage you to sign up if you have not already, because I think these markets are really, really cool and have great potential for New York wine. Let's see here. There we go. So a little bit about last year. So coming out of the real nasty part of the pandemic, things started to open up towards the end of the program year. So initially we had scheduled a bunch of things throughout the entire year, but it wasn't until around the late spring that we could really rock and roll. And we started in Hong Kong, where we worked with a group of young sommeliers who had worked in some fine dining establishments and really understand the market quite well, to help lead some guided tastings, because we weren't able to send people to Hong Kong. And they were able to host these smaller, high touch wine tasting events for us. So we did 2 trade tastings, one in April, one in May, and then we did a larger focus on visiting individual importers, because they weren't able to come together in one room. So what that opened up was the opportunity for us to get in front of these importers to talk about the wines in a very relaxed and casual setting, but also tie it in with saying, okay, well, we've been educating now dozens of F&B professionals here in the market, and there's some interest. And so moving forward, we're hoping to see some success with that. Stay tuned for that. And then we moved over to Vietnam, and for the first time ever, the New York Wine and Grape Foundation was active in the market, and that met with a lot of excitement and interest. Those of us who are in the day-to-day business of selling New York wine understand that feeling when someone says, oh, I didn't know New York City, Manhattan had vineyards. Well, it was like that on a much bigger scale, but there was so much interest in the brand of New York and in the larger brand of American wine that we attracted over 100 people to a walk around trade tasting, and had like 30 some people in a very focused masterclass with Christopher Bates presenting virtually. And, it was really interesting, because in some markets you hear certain feedback on the preference for dry white wines, or some for dry red wines, but actually some of the most interesting wines for the consumers were grapes, that were hybrids or indigenous grape varieties. So it was interesting to see that there is some potential here for not just the Rieslings and the Cabernet Francs of New York, but maybe even other varieties. And then in June, we held our much awaited masterclass in trade tasting in Korea. So Korea has been kind of the darling of the Asia wine scene over the last couple of years, showing a lot of growth. So we partnered with a really professional agency in Seoul to run a very high quality event at the Four Seasons in Seoul. And we also did a masterclass, had some really, really great questions being asked, some really market specific questions. And then later we had a really well-designed walk around trade tasting, which generated a lot of social media buzz. So there was, some really good feedback, and we're excited to open the opportunity to do more work this year. And by the way, any questions you have during this, you can send them to the chat box, or we can talk about them at the end. So going into the next program year, I figured it would be good to give a little bit of overview of these markets that we're working on. So Vietnam, of course, is a developing economy, but it has been titled as the fastest growing economy in Asia. And even through the pandemic, they saw growth, and they weren't hit as badly as some of the other economies. And so over the last few years, they had a bit of a decrease in wine consumption because the tourism market had kind of fallen out, but it's expected to rebound and surpass pre-COVID years pretty quickly here. So we find it a good opportunity to get in. It's a young market with a young consumer base that has a rising discretionary income. And if we can start to educate them now about the values and virtues of cool climate New York wines, we think we have a good opportunity, especially as there's a pivot away from investment in markets like mainland China. There's a good opportunity to get in. And the country has, 70 million people. It's a sizable country with a penchant for growth. And some more graphs, and I can make sure that this presentation is available for anybody who would like to have it. But this kind of gives a bit of an introduction to the demographics of, I think this box blocks this thing. Let's see. There we go. there's a growth in the middle income here, and the young population, I say young because I'm still in that population, but the 25 to 30-year-old segment of the population is growing, and it's projected to be 75% of the country is supposed to be 75% middle class by 2030. So if we can get in there now, market the wines, really show them that there's value coming from New York in terms of price and quality, we have a good opportunity to build New York wine presence in the country. So then what do we plan to do? So we are moving up north this year. So we had done our presentation and seminar in Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon in April, but this year we're moving up to the capital of Hanoi. And for a couple reasons. One, it's the second largest city, it's the seat of government and the seat of regional business. And also we were explained that because of the government regulations in Vietnam, a lot of the big wine importers will actually have their import license headquarters in Hanoi. So it's an opportunity for us to get in there and maybe meet with some more VIPs and get a larger number of participants in our importer and trade event. And we were encouraged this year by our friends at the Saigon Sommelier Association to increase our representation. So last year we had 7 wineries in the masterclass and 7 wineries at the walk around trade tasting. We were encouraged to increase that. So coming in the next few days, for those of you who have signed up for the Asia Pacific program, you will see an email invitation to register on bottle books for the 2 events, the walk around trade tasting and the masterclass. Last year we signed up, everyone signed up within the first like 18 to 24 hours. So keep an eye on that. Those seats, they're going to be limited, but bigger than last year, but you will see an email here in the next few days. So yes, goals, we are going to introduce some more New York wines and really focus on building those relationships to maintain our momentum. And this first event in Vietnam will be held on October 26th, and we're really excited about it. You know, New York State in general has close relationship with Vietnam. Fun fact, Cuca College, my alma mater in the Finger Lakes, has a partnership university with the top university in Vietnam, Vietnam National University. And for example, Cuca College has 4 partner universities across the country. So there are some parallel things between New York and Vietnam, and I'm really excited to help leverage that. Okay, moving on to South Korea. So this market has really been taking off. 5 years ago, when I first visited the country, you see most people drinking things like soju or beer. And while they did drink a lot, it was the conversation with my female friends was always, yeah, but you know, beer makes us bloated and soju gets us too drunk too quick. And so they would drink maybe some Sauvignon Blanc or some Chardonnay. And now what you're seeing is really a growth in the still wine category in terms of value and of volume into South Korea. Also, what's promising for the United States is we have a free trade agreement with them, which means there's no duty on US wines. So US wines are coming in at a very favorable rate. There is pressure from other New World regions, such as Chile and South Africa, and France is still reigning supreme, but the United States comes in as a close number 2 in terms of value of wine brought into South Korea. And also, Korea is a leader in nighttime spending. So people go out, they spend money on eating, they spend money on drinking, and they stay out a long, long time during the weekends. And as we're coming out of the pandemic, you know, they've removed their quarantine on arrival policies, just proof of vaccination. So things are really starting to normalize again back in South Korea. And so just a little bit more information about the background. You can see this graph here. It's a couple years old, but even still during the pandemic, we saw a growth in imported wine. People were staying at home and drinking more. But now that they are out, they're partying, they're going out to dinner, they're having fun time again, this number's actually increased, surpassed the value here, that the data we got from the ATO's report in 2021. So in 2021, they had actually imported wine of over 500 million, which is a massive growth number for market. And we still sit number 2 behind France. So what are we going to do in Korea this year? So last year, as said, or last program year, as we said, we did a walk around tasting and a focused master class. This year, we are going to be working on a trade mission to South Korea, this program year, I should say. So we're planning for March and April to do a joint program, a joint trade mission to Japan and Korea, to do a walk around tasting and encourage importers and trade to come meet producers face to face. We find this is going to be incredibly important so that wine import companies can actually meet the people behind these brands. It's nice to do a master class. It's nice to introduce the wines, but actually getting to know the producers, the winemakers, or the owners is incredibly valuable. And so after that kind of walk around tasting, we are going to find some opportunities for the wineries to do some exploration in the market, see where wine's sold, how does the on-trade work, what's the off-premise environment like. And then also at the conclusion of the visit, have a dinner being hosted by New York Wine Grape Foundation with VIP members of the trade and high-end members of the media, just to continue to build those relationships, tell them that New York is here, New York is interested in the market, and that we would like to find a home in South Korea. And the goals really being maintaining that momentum. I think that's the most important thing we can do. In the wine business, it's always a marathon, not a sprint, but also get the key face time and hopefully get some more New York wine brands being represented in the country. So keep your eyes out for that. More to come, probably end of October when we have everything hashed out, but we're looking at March of April of 2023 for that reverse mission. Okay. And then Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is obviously the darling of the wine markets of Asia because of its fairly relaxed import regulations, no tax. And for a long time, it was a big hub of re-export around the region. It still has some quarantine restrictions, although they have been relaxed in the last few days, but it's still a bit of a challenge to get there. You still have to quarantine for 3 days and then have 4 days of monitoring in the region. And while they recover, the F&B industry, which has historically been very strong, is still recovering. A lot of restaurants closed, a lot of people in the F&B industry left Hong Kong. So it will take some time, but if there's one thing that's sure about Hong Kong is that it doesn't sit down for very long. So we are continuing our momentum in the Hong Kong market. So you can see here these two graphs. There was a substantial dip in 2020, end of 2019 to 2020 in Hong Kong. The volume change and the revenue change, it was quite staggering. As you can see, 2020 went down almost as low as it did in 2015. However, forecasts do, we can never predict, but we can forecast that it will rebound. And Hong Kong, to be fair, is not a market that is driven by individual brand volume, but it is a very good market for representation in the region. Consumers there are very discerning. They're accessing social media, both Asian and Western social medias. So it's good to be there. And hopefully this year, hopefully shortly, we should hear some good news for some producers that were active in the Hong Kong program last year. And we sent some extra samples to some importers. So keep your ears out for that. And so because of the restrictions here in Hong Kong, things are still TBD on the exact dates, but we are going to continue working with our importer-focused events, targeting the best importers who are now maybe in a better position to bring on brands again after recovering. And then we are hopefully going to be launching a joint trade event pairing New York wines with US cheese, and we are in touch with our friends at the ATO in Hong Kong to maybe even get some New York cheese available to do a New York wine and New York cheese pairing. So that would be really cool. open up the audience to not just wine specific, but other members of the F&B trade. So keep your ears out for that, but we are really excited to have these events going this year, and fingers crossed that there are no more global pandemics that disrupt what we intend to do. Asia was hit really hard and they are recovering, but they will bounce back, and that is super exciting. So some things to keep your eye out for. If you have not signed up, as I said, and as Vail has said, please do. We have some great things going. And the best way to make these programs strong is for as many people to participate as possible. There is strength in numbers. And when one ship is raised by the tide, we are all raised by the tide. So we have the October 22 Vietnam event coming. And as I said, you will receive information that if you have signed up. And we have more information coming on the trade mission to South Korea that will happen in March or April, and our 2 events in Hong Kong planned. So some really exciting things. We know that we can really shake some stuff up now that the world is starting to hopefully heal. And yeah, I'm super excited for this. If you have any questions, please always feel free to respond. It usually only takes me 1 or 2 days to get back to you, but I will try my best to get back as quickly as possible. Like I said, I know many of you, so don't be shy to reach out and chit chat with me if you have questions or advice or tips. Some of you already do that. I'm very grateful that you feel comfortable to do that with me. So that's kind of it for the overview and plan for the year, but I would like to take this time to talk about questions or comments if you should have them. Someone up here. Kelby, yeah. Let's see, the Harvard of China, yeah. Any questions?
It's not a question, but would you say like a lesson learned from last year is to sign up on Bottle Books and be ready to go as soon as you send that invite out for October?
Yeah, so I love Bottle Books. I didn't think I would love it as much as I did, but I absolutely love it. It has made my life super easy, and hopefully it makes everybody else's lives super easy, that it integrates everything so quickly. But just remember, when that invitation comes out, it is live. And some of you are very good, very quick, very active to get it done. But don't wait. There is a lot of interest in these programs, which is humbling, because this is a region that I've spent a big chunk of my professional and personal life exploring and building. So I hope more people sign up and take an active part.
One more quick question for me. I can't remember. Did you say how long that joint trip is going to be? So if people are invited, how long would they expect to be away? Do you know yet?
We haven't pinned down the date, but from my side, with the Korea side, I would anticipate no more than 3 days in South Korea. I don't know what our friends in Japan have planned, but I guess it would probably be a week.
Yeah.
Including the 2 days of travel that you'll need to get back and forth. They're long flights.
Well, thanks, Kelby. Yeah. Everyone's putting a lot of effort into it. So, and we appreciate your effort too. Your effort, Kelby, Jen, Scott, Ame, all the time that you put into Bottle Books and the emails that we send you and the technical information that you share with us. The success of the program recently is due to you too. So this is a huge team effort. So thank you very much for your time. If there are no further questions, Matthew, I'm happy to take the PDF of this PowerPoint and send it along with the recording, and we'll get that out to all the export participants so that everyone, even if they're not signed up for Asia yet, can sign up if you've enticed them to.
Thank you. I mean, like I said, I'm super excited for this year. I'm really ready to get some cool stuff done. Kelby, feel better. And congratulations to our friends at Weimer and to Fox Run for their exciting new news too. All right.
Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Bye everybody.